not an e-bike. It's an electric motorcycle.
What's up guys, welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Today we're going to be going over two of my bikes and comparing how they perform against each other. These are so unique that I actually don't know how to categorize them. They both have quite a bit of power, top speed of almost 50 miles per hour, extreme range, 200 plus miles, full suspension with a load capacity of 500 pounds. So these are definitely not your standard class 2, class 3 e-bikes. This is Aniioki's new A9 Pro Max Plus, which is their 2025 model. They made a couple of revisions since the previous year. So you can see this one has three 300 millimeter disc brake rotors. And what's super unique is the left brake lever actually activates all three brake calipers, which I've definitely never seen on an electric bike before. This has a power output of 5,600 watts, split between dual motor setup. Claims to have a top speed of 46 miles per hour. I have hit 47, 48 in it previously. This particular bike that I have has a 60 volt, 70 amp hour lithium battery pack. That's a ton. Claims to have a range of 200 miles with pedal assist, which will not be using much today. And this is the 2025 Eahora Romeo Ultra 2. This particular bike has the 60 volt, 80 amp hour lithium battery pack. So that's 4,800 watt hours. Claims to have a range of 235 miles using pedal assist. Has a power output of 5,000 watts, also split between two motors, and has a top speed claim of 46 to 50 miles per hour. I'm excited to see which one actually accelerates faster. Both bikes have 26-inch wheels, have pedals, and are packed with a ton of features. And both of them also have their set of pros and cons, which we'll go over later in the video. The A9 Pro Max also has an option for an 80 amp hour battery, though I think it's like $200 more. This specific bike retails for $37.99, while this Eahora retails for $35.99. The Aniioki comes with a cargo rack and the Eahora does not. You have to purchase it separately for like 100 something. So I did that, and we're installing the cargo rack on this bike just to make today's comparison as apples to apples as possible. The cargo rack should be pretty quick to install, just 4 bolts on the back of the frame and an extension cord for the tail lamp. You know what, the harness for the tail light from factory is actually long enough, so I don't know what that extension's for. Here's a closer look at how I have that installed. Just routed the wiring under the basket and tucked the rest inside up here under the seat.
Stupid.
Justin, how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Look. Yeah, that is one thing about the Aniioki is it's a little tall. It's literally like the seat height of my KTM, while the Eahora is like a 35, 36.
They have a non-fat tire version or something?
No, these are 26 by 4.8, so it sits a lot taller than this. These are 4-inch tires. What are we doing today?
No, the path we're doing is 80 miles each way.
Yeah, we're not pedaling today, so hopefully it's not 80 miles each way. All right, I'm gonna start off with riding the Eahora, and then halfway through, I'm gonna switch off with Tuan so I can get on the Aniioki, just to make sure that we have equal amount of riding style between that bike and this bike. Neither of us are also going to be pedaling today, pretty much relying on the throttle just to give it a true comparison as far as battery usage. Can we actually race on the street?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to see how it accelerates in comparison. Aniioki versus Eahora. So, were you fully pinned?
Yeah, I was fully pinned.
Do you want to do it again from a dig?
Yeah.
super interesting because the Eahora is rated 5,000 watts and the Aniioki is rated 5,600 watts. And this, of course, we got a freaking trooper right there at the beginning of the ride.
Come this way so I don't have to yell. What's the wattage on yours?
Around 2,800.
Yeah, let's find the wattage on them. We need to know what the wattage is. I know that yours is probably like 3,000 or something crazy like that.
So what's the wattage? You know?
So 750 watt is a class 3
Okay.
e-bike.
Okay. Got it.
Between 750 and 1500 watt is moped.
Okay.
And anything over 1500 watt is considered motorcycle or auto cycle.
Gotcha. Is
sorry.
there?
It's 2,500.
Yeah. So you're over 2. Your highest class of what is actually e-bike allowed to be operated on the sidewalk
Gotcha.
is 750 watt. So anything between 750 watts and 1500 watts is what's defined in the moped. In order to be a moped, in order to operate as a moped on the roadway, you have to have it properly registered through the Virginia DMV.
Gotcha.
You have to wear a helmet that has a face shield, glasses, or you have to have a windshield.
Right.
You have to be eligible for a driver's license, which includes that you can't be suspended or revoked for any reason.
Okay.
And you have to carry a government ID and be eligible for a driver's license.
Okay. Gotcha. And I thought it was a speed. I
Anything,
thought it was like 28 miles an hour.
28 miles an hour is as fast as a class 3 can go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it has the capability of going over that,
Right.
it is either a moped or it is a motorcycle.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
for example, like this thing, like right now I have it in a mode.
it doesn't matter what mode it's in.
Okay.
It
Like even
is
if
the
it's
capability.
locked. Okay. Even if it's locked. you
It's
can't-
the capability.
Okay. Gotcha.
These I haven't seen before.
They're brand new. He
Yeah,
actually
no,
reviews
they're-
them. He actually reviews them and stuff. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
This isn't even classified like as an e-bike, even though it has the pedal assist on there. But currently under the state code, the way that it's written, it would be classified as a motorcycle. It's because the wattage is too high.
Gotcha.
And it wouldn't be permitted to be allowed on the sidewalk. I mean, you couldn't really even ride it on the roadway because of its capability.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you a bunch of heartburn, but these devices, like we're figuring out what they are ourselves.
Yeah. No, I get
but
that.
all this stuff right here
Yeah,
would
all
all
this is
be
new to
off
me.
road. So I saw one yesterday that was sort of like this, and the top speed on that thing's like 57 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I see you guys out, right?
Yeah.
First off, these definitely look like dirt bikes. I saw the pedals on them.
Yeah.
But we have so much confusion over what's an e-bike and what isn't.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have pedals on it,
Yeah.
it's a motorcycle,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It is not an e-bike. It's an electric motorcycle, right? These are definitely some high-end e-bikes. I see that, but they are not defined in the code. Just pay attention to what laws are coming up and stuff like that. Yeah, and hydraulic brakes. That's another thing that tends to tell me like is more than just a e-bike.
Yeah. I see the gray area.
If you guys don't mind, just keep it down today and whatever. I'm just talking to a lot of people, and the kids are saying that we're picking on them, and we're not picking on them. We're just talking to everybody that we see out and about on these guys. You mind if I snap a couple pictures of these real quick?
Go for it.
Just because we're trying to educate ourselves as much as well. And you say you evaluate them? Where are you at? There you are. You're an evaluator for these things? Do you have a company or?
No, I mean, they just reach out to me, ask questions on what needs to be revised.
Got you. Is this what you do for a job or?
No.
Just for fun? Got
No,
you.
just for fun.
Because everybody kind of is looking at me right now as the subject matter expert because I've just been chasing these things for like 18 months. I learn something new every day when I'm out here talking to people and looking at them and just trying to figure out. And like, I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and the safe thing. But I mean, I'm sure that you all have seen the kids ride these things around here.
Yeah, they have like dirt bikes or whatever. Yeah.
No due regard for traffic. They're in and out. It's just.
These are slightly different though. They're huge because of the battery capacity.
Right.
These are considered like a long range cargo bike.
Okay.
Like these, that's actually what we were doing today, is trying to see how long we can go for.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a huge frame, and you know, the big tires, and obviously I saw the big rotors, and I'm like, well, this has pedals on it, but I see some of the kids that have the dirt bike ones, you can actually get kits where you can bolt the fake pedals on it.
Oh, yeah, the Suron with the,
they're just fake pedals, like they don't do anything.
No, these have a gear set.
Yeah, I see that now up close.
It's actually a bicycle, though.
Well,
never mind. But I promise you, the pedals are
active. Yeah,
active. You can switch gears and everything.
I can see the
gear set.
The gear set. Yeah. So, you know, but I appreciate your guys' time and talking to me. You know, this is going to be new when I throw this at them on Monday. This is going to be new to them. You know, I'm going to do some research today and look these up, and just so I can present that to them Monday. But like, this throws a whole nother scope at us, because I haven't seen anything over 750 watts with pedals. Appreciate your time. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Of course, that would happen literally as we pull out of the neighborhood. All right, let's keep riding until we get out of Loudoun County. It's a shame because I just moved here. It also probably doesn't help that these bikes are huge. Like, they definitely attract attention in comparison to a regular e-bike. You know, after speaking with that officer, it definitely makes me even more confused about what category to put these bikes in. So would you consider this an electric motorcycle? You know, I really didn't realize that you had that on your waist the whole time.
Well, that's good.
He didn't even ask about it.
No, he saw it.
And why do you have that with you today?
You know, in case we get stuck in the middle of the woods like last time. You know?
How does that make sense?
I mean, that's just proof that it's...
Quick battery check. We are at 86% battery life on the Eahora, and odometer showing 113. We started the day with 86 miles on the odometer, so what does that put us at? Like 27 miles just about. So that's actually really impressive, considering we've been cruising around 20-25 miles per hour for a good majority of this trip so far. Obviously, when we're on the main roads, we go a little bit faster here and there, but this is like real world use case scenario for me on this bike. Pedaling doesn't really do anything. It just triggers the throttle essentially. You're not really doing too much anyway, since this is a 205-pound bike with the 80 amp hour battery. I'm not really sure how many miles we're going to be doing today. Right now we are en route to Dirt Farm Brewery to do the ultimate hill climb test here in Northern Virginia. That's the same hill that I was at last time I was riding this bike, where my buddy Justin on the Nami Bernie 2 Max completely smoked me in a race going uphill. But obviously that thing's like 8,000 watts of power, and this is 5,000 and twice the weight. But we're gonna do the same thing again today with this bike versus the Aniioki, along with the Nami, just to see how all three perform in comparison. Actually, I haven't seen a horse on this bike trail before. That's a new one. Man, this thing's still going over 50 miles per hour. I really cannot complain about the performance of the Eahora Romeo Ultra 2. Considering we've done 37 miles so far today on this charge, and we're only down to 81% battery. That is super impressive. Though I did notice that we are having some sort of brake issue. Justin pointed out earlier that my rear brake reservoir is really low, and now it's completely empty, and the rear brake is super spongy. So I actually stopped using it like 5-10 miles ago, pretty much running on the front brake for the second 2/3 of this trip. Man, look at that hill climb. That is Dirt Farm that pretty much cooked the brakes on this bike last time, going back down. It's actually why I'm a little bit nervous going down that thing again with only the front brake fully functional. The rear is not doing too much today. Dude, that thing's not conserving as much battery as this, I don't think.
Yeah.
And you know I've been booking it.
Let me tell you what I think one of the big differences is.
What?
You can check. I don't think this is a geared hub motor.
No, that's direct drive.
Yeah, that's why the acceleration is nowhere near as good as that.
Yeah, I mean, that's supposed to be the quieter bike and smoother acceleration and whatever.
Exactly. This is quiet.
Yeah, but this thing has torque.
Yeah.
On 3 from a dig.
Okay.
Oh shit, I forgot about no rear brake. I finally got him this time. Nope. It's all me. Oh! Man, the Eahora is winning today. Yeah, you know, this Aniioki really doesn't have that much power in comparison to the Eahora, but yet it's rated to have more power than this thing, and it's also supposed to be about 30 pounds lighter, which definitely has me curious why it's more expensive. Though it does have a lot more features than the Eahora. Hey, be honest, how much pedaling did you do?
I had to help it along.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So mode 5 dual motor wouldn't do the dirt farm hill?
I think on a full charge.
I mean, it has a weight capacity of 500 pounds though.
Yeah.
It's lacking.
It's lacking.
Yeah. How are the brakes?
The brakes are strong. This thing has good brakes.
Okay, well these things have opposite strengths and weaknesses, it seems like.
Yeah.
This thing seems to have all the power, but my rear brake is gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So just be mindful of that when you're riding this later.
Yeah, yeah.
But the front is decent, but we're about to go down this gnarly hill, so.
Yeah, yeah.
We came here. When we left here, to go the same route back, when we were gonna obviously try to get back to P-tuning,
What'd you kill?
pretty sure I was at 65% when we left here.
Look at the range anxiety on this guy.
I didn't charge my freaking scooter last night. I forgot.
All right, we're 42 miles in today.
Justin almost had to walk it.
All right, we're switching bikes now since we're halfway through and we're changing things up. We're going to the farm brewery at Broad Run now. And I'm gonna be taking the Aniioki. I forgot how tall this thing was.
This is where you should blast, Pat.
So we're just gonna take it a bit easier. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna blast it. Screw it. But the brakes, huge improvement over the Eahora. I just tried the CBS over there just now, which activates all 3 calipers. And yeah, hopping from that bike onto this bike, you can definitely notice that the acceleration is not as aggressive. It's definitely a lot more gradual. Man, I told my wife I was going to be there way earlier. Pretty much just got to book it at this point. Also, Bailey, if you're watching this, it was not my time management skills. I swear it was Justin needing to charge his scooter. Oh, damn. You know what? I just hopped on this bike and I just noticed that we are down to 2 bars on the battery already. So this thing's got to be around 40%, between 40 and 50% battery in comparison to the Eahora, which only has 10 amp hours more. And that thing's only at like 78%. So the Aniioki definitely uses a lot more battery to coast at the same speed as I was riding the other bike. So I've got 25 more miles to go to the next brewery, where I think I'm gonna have to get rescued since this bike does not have as much range as I initially anticipated. Yo, what the hell? Damn, must be nice to have your own ATV track like that. I gotta say though that the Aniioki is pretty nice that it comes with mirrors, and this display,
1,000 feet, turn right onto State Route 736.
it's actually pretty nice that it has built-in speakers and it's much nicer looking display. It's actually got a camera that's constantly recording on a loop, which I'll show you later. All right, one more time, flat ground.
Ready?
All right, 15 mile an hour roll.
Yeah, you do the horn.
Yeah, even though that Eahora is making some brake warping noise right now, it is just so much faster than the Aniioki. I gotta say though, like low traction conditions, the braking on this is so much better though. I honestly don't know how Justin rides on that thing for these long ass trips. Like I probably can't do much more than 40, 50 miles standing up on a scooter. All right guys, here it comes. Here's the hill that killed Tuan's bike last time, so I am curious to see how the Aniioki is going to do, because direct drive motors have not been too impressive with the torque as far as climbing power in comparison to the Eahora bike with the geared hub motors. So let's see how this thing does. Oh, this thing cruises in gravel and rough dirt pretty smoothly. Huge tires have a lot to do with it though, as long as the suspension's not fully locked. And my phone really died, so I got no way of calling my wife for a rescue. So I really wish that this thing can make it to our destination. And it gets really steep right at this point where Tuan's climbing right now. So this is the telltale sign where he's the direct drive. Oh, he's slowing down. Put in the highest power mode. Alright, doing about 18 miles per hour. This is super steep, so I'm glad it's doing it. 20. Oh, doesn't really have an issue. We're accelerating. I think he's starting to enjoy that bike. I can tell. So you can see on gravel, it comes to a stop so quickly with one brake lever, very little effort.
I swear, this bike right here is like breaks away from something that I actually might own. To take place of a moped. You know,
it's fun, right?
Yeah, dude, it's fun. It's got power.
Yeah.
It's got just enough acceleration, just enough top speed, you know?
Man, I wish I could play music right now, but my phone's completely dead. Look at that. This thing is so fancy. Last bar battery. It's gonna burn it out. Definitely not where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I definitely took a wrong turn somewhere, which is not good because I'm at 0 bars and a completely dead phone. I'm pretty much cruising on a prayer at this point. We've been at 0 bar for like the last 6 miles now. I overshot the turn obviously by at least 4 miles, and then I have to make a U-turn, and there it is, guys. E06 error. It's intermittently cutting in and out. Oh, there we go, lost power. This bike's 178 pounds. There's no way I can pedal this thing for much longer. Well, in case you're curious if you can pedal one of these, not really. Going over 66. We gotta be 1 mile away. I definitely took a couple wrong turns. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna ditch this bike for now. I'm gonna come back for it later. All right, we now have both bikes home. The Eahora now has 160.3 miles on the odometer. We started the day with 86 miles, so this bike traveled 74 miles on this charge, and it still has 62% battery. And then the Aniioki, I hooked this up to the charger for a while because I don't want it to sit with a completely drained battery, but it now has 90 miles on the odometer. We started with 10, so this bike traveled 80 miles. Obviously we killed it, and I also pedaled the last 2 miles, so we were able to get 78 miles out of that charge with a similar style riding between both bikes, obviously taking the same exact route, except for the end where I got a little bit lost with the Aniioki. So overall, the things that I like and don't like about both bikes. The Eahora has definitely got a decent amount of speed and power overall, and it's very efficient with battery usage. The look is also starting to grow on me. I like how it's a matching satin black front to back all the way to the rack. It rides pretty decent, though it's definitely lacking braking power in comparison to the other bike. The rear brake actually completely failed. I cannot trace where the brake fluid went. We can't even find a leak on the line going to the caliper or anywhere on the frame. Nothing's wet. Definitely gonna have to do some further diagnosis to see what happened with the brake. And then the front rotor is definitely making a lot of noise now. It's pretty much warped at this point from relying on it so much for the second half of the day. I don't like how that the seat height is not adjustable. Luckily for me at 5'8", it's comfortable enough, but for taller riders, you might have trouble with the positioning of the crankset. Like the pedal just comes a little too close to the seat, so it might be harder for taller riders to pedal. And I also don't like how heavy this bike is. It's almost 30 pounds heavier than the Aniioki because it's got a steel frame rather than the aluminum. As far as the Aniioki, yes, it rides pretty smooth. It's very quiet, but I just wish it had a little bit more power. And it's labeled as 5,600 watts, and this is labeled as 5,000. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference in acceleration between the two. It does ride a little bit smoother than the Eahora. The fork is supposed to be sturdier, like it's a beefier crown at the bottom, larger tires help it ride a little smoother on rough terrain. And it's got a ton of braking power, more than it needs in my opinion. The seat height is adjustable, but it is so high in its lowest setting. I don't really recommend this bike for anybody less than 5'10". I like that it comes standard with the rack and the mirrors, and the fact that it comes with turn signals, camera, Bluetooth, a much nicer screen. It's definitely got a lot of features, but I'm just not very happy with the battery efficiency. The fact that these two are only 10 amp hour difference in battery capacity rating, I gotta say I'm just a little bit more impressed with the Eahora. Comment below which bike you would rather go with. If you are interested in getting more information on the Aniioki or the Eahora, I'll have a link to both their websites in the description below, along with any discount codes that might help you save a couple bucks. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects or some of my reviews, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn your bell notification on. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.
It is not an e-bike. It's an electric motorcycle, right? These are definitely some high-end e-bikes. I see that, but they are not defined in the code.